Bass Reeves, a new TV series. Fact, fiction, the greatest lawman in the West, or the inspiration for the Lone Ranger? Let's look at the series and the real man. Let's start with a promo clip from the series.
You a lawman or an outlaw?
Bit of both, I reckon.
I need a man with a good gun and a straight spine. You up for the task?
I wouldn't be sitting here my Sunday best if it wasn't.
Bass Reeves was hired by Judge Isaac Parker in 1875. According to the U.S. Marshal's office, during Reeves' tenure between 1875 and 1907, 88 U.S. deputy marshals were killed in the line of duty in Indian Territory or Oklahoma. For much of that period, the marshals for this district were based out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. In an age when the average height of a man was 5.5 feet tall, Bass Reeves was a towering figure at 6 foot 2 inches. Yet stories tell of his ability to disguise himself, slump in the saddle to appear smaller, even dress as a woman in order to capture criminals. Being a crack shot with either hand wasn't a bad skill to have either. Because he could neither read nor write, Reeves memorized his arrest warrants and was never known to arrest the wrong man. For all the 21 years Judge Parker presided in Fort Smith, Bass Reeves served as one of the most valuable deputy marshals combing the 75,000 square mile jurisdiction that includes most of the present-day Oklahoma. And all of the service of the U.S. Marshals, a startling number of those killed in the line of duty died in this dangerous frontier. In newspaper articles, it was noted that Reeves had never been wounded, although at different times his belt was shot in two, a button shot off his coat, his hat brim shot off, and the bridle reins which he held in his hands cut by a bullet. The series does show that Reeves tried to be nonviolent with the over 3,000 people he arrested. Being a Taylor Sheridan production program, there is, though, quite a bit of on-screen violence. The series does depict with reasonable accuracy several events in Reeves' life. It misses the mark in some events while not even mentioning one of the most famous, when he was in his mid-60s he once shot an escaping murderer from over 500 yards away, proving he was a crack shot.
Well, let's make it official.
Think he can handle the weight of the badge?
I know I can't.
Someday, somebody's going to write about you.
Travels with Phil continue in Fort Smith, Arkansas. This is a recreation of Judge Isaac Parker's court in Fort Smith. The last federal execution in Fort Smith took place July 30th, 1896. While Parker was often called the hanging judge, he was not in favor of capital punishment. He just felt that some punishment should be meted out. But 88 men convicted of murder-rape lost their lives on these gallows.
I think one of the crucial things when you're playing a historical character and you have those historical moments, you've got to sort of put that out of your head. Bass doesn't think he's in a historical moment. And so I think as an actor, your job is just to play the truth of that given scene.
While a slave in 1862, the real Reeves fought with the Confederates at Pea Ridge.
When Bass and Esau first meet, it's about 1862. 1877 is when we pick them back up on the Red River. Esau is now a Texas Ranger, and Bass is a U.S. Deputy Marshal. Esau is really pleased to see Bass, but Bass is not that pleased to see Esau.
I met Barry Pepper around 2008. 15 years in makeup can make a lot of difference. Bass Reeves was indeed one of America's greatest lawmen. He arrested between 3,000 and 4,000 wanted felons during a particularly violent period in American history. He survived for around 32 years on the job. He was known to be an honorable man and a great shot. He was also known for being fair toward his prisoners. Was Bass Reeves the inspiration for the Lone Ranger? Historian Art Burton suggests one possible historical inspiration was Bass Reeves, the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River. Burton suggests that Reeves' character as a lawman was widely known in his time and cites similarities with the Lone Ranger, including wearing disguises, having an American Indian partner, riding a white or gray horse, giving out silver keepsakes, and possessing legendary marksmanship and horsemanship skills. Ultimately, Burton notes that it's not possible to prove conclusively that Reeves was the inspiration for the Lone Ranger, but he is the closest real person to resemble him. There's also a story that a family member of the original author of the Lone Ranger was aware of who Bass Reeves was, so at least the possibility does exist that Bass Reeves may have contributed to the concept of the Lone Ranger. So ultimately, let me say that Lawmen, Bass Reeves is an interesting series. It's enjoyable if you like Taylor Sheridan type shows, and if you like westerns or action sequences, it's enjoyable for those purposes. While it does have some historical flaws, and I think emphasizes certain aspects that are less appropriate than others, and so overall, it's worth some time to see. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the circle with my picture in it in the lower right hand corner of the video. The arrow is pointing at it now. And once you have subscribed, you can be notified of when I have a new video posted by clicking on the bell icon in the description field below the video. Thanks again for watching.